Namaste, angels. This is the weekly general reading for the period of tomorrow, August 22nd, my oldest child's birthday, through Saturday to come the 30th. We're going to get started right away. Begin with massage, party, and it's 50-50 with the dice. Yes, I got my nails done, and I got them cut all the way down. I was so tired of them breaking and needing to get a tip. I said, just take them off. Spirit says dirty movie. We saw a lot of stuff like in the news last week, viral, not all of it good. In fact, some of it very, very scary and sad. Everything that was going on in Afghanistan, continued coverage of Haiti and just all kinds of things all over the world. But dirty movie can be something personal, you exchanging texts, pictures, videos with another party, or parties, or something larger, like that goes viral, or something like, videos or news that everybody sees. Spirit also says yes. And cocktail. With the cards, we got the Rider-Waite deck here, starting with the 8 of Swords in reverse. So this is like when you're being freed, or you're realizing how you can maybe free yourself from some situation that you felt stuck in, restricted, or an energy that you felt restricted. It can be about lacking confidence, being afraid, all these things. Now, also, the next card is in reverse too, and it's the 2 of Cups. So putting these together, these can be about feeling or maybe having felt restricted in a relationship and not knowing how to get out of it. It can be about imbalance in a relationship, maybe a lack of self, again, confidence, acceptance, and like your place in a partnership. Doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It can be familial, it can be like BFFs or something. It can be about like poor communication, broken communication, separation, tension regarding freedom or lack thereof, maybe in a friendship or partnership, like somebody that just is real clingy or needy and not knowing what to do about that. Or I'm also seeing something maybe in a more serious relationship or intimate relationship. Let me use that word instead of serious, because I'm actually seeing that the relationship is not necessarily serious, but it can be intimate. It may even be sexually, intimate. And there may have been like some walls or concerns about that. But now what I'm seeing is like somebody that's told the other person how they feel and what they want or don't want. Like, I'm not interested in a relationship, or I am, whatever. And they're just sort of like going with the flow now. They're not feeling limited or stuck. It's like, I told you what I told them. So, my conscience is clear. That's the kind of thing I'm seeing there. Let me go ahead and just shuffle these while I have them before I forget. Opening first to the Lovers, which can also be about intimate relationships. Of course, romantic relationships. It can be about heart versus head decisions. It does represent the sign of Gemini most directly. And potentially the Queen of Swords also does. Don't like seeing the Queen of Swords in reverse, because it can be about somebody who is extra, very pushy, and it can be about like loving too hard too, but it comes off in a very like abrasive way, and just, how when people push people away from themselves, that's the kind of person like the Queen of Swords in reverse is. She's also often like somebody's mother or mother-in-law that's nosy and butting into a situation. And then we're opening here also to the Devil, represents the sign of Capricorn most directly. It's kind of like the mirror opposite of the Lovers. And both cards equal 6. The Devil is Major Arcana card 15, and the Devil and the Lovers is Major Arcana card 6. And they both have like those naked people and stuff. And I just opened to the Magician, also represents the sign of Gemini. So something could be going on with Gemini or Mercury. You know what? Maybe what's happening with Mercury is the fact that the Sun enters Leo. I'm not Leo. Leaves Leo and enters Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury along with Gemini on the 22nd. So tomorrow, the first day for which this reading is, my Sun is a Leo Virgo, because he's a Cuspian. So, and then boom, Did I say the devil was major arcana card 15? Oh, it is. Okay. I'm looking at this. I'm like, this is 16. 10, 5, 1. Okay. And people say, why do we have to learn math? Like, when do you use it when you grow up? Just there. I just use math. So we have the Tower this week. And then this can again be about, it can be attached to Dirty Movie and what's going on around the world. I mean, we really literally saw people falling from planes and stuff, not building, but planes. Ay, ay, ay. Like a something just like went through me. Yeah, hopefully it's nothing like that, but it can be literal. So let's see what got left behind here on the table. It is sunshine. Okay, that sounds positive. The sun is shining on your career, you, and a business growth. Wait, the sun is shining on you, career and business growth, fabulous communications in relationships. Okay, that's nice. I don't know why I got like illiterate all of a sudden. And did you see that? I threw it into the middle and then I opened to it again. So I think that's positive. Otherwise, we were beginning with perseverance. You may feel like you're getting nowhere, but there are wonderful changes ahead. Don't give up. And then romance. Love is set to sizzle. The chance for romance is high for those seeking a connection. Next card's in reverse. I feel like my nails are like about sunshine too. When I left my house, I was about to leave my house. I was like, I'm gonna get my nails yellow, and then I went into the so I called first because y'all know James was sick last week. So I called to make sure he was back. Like I felt that he was back, and then I called, and they're like, yes, he is here. So I walk in. I tell them that I want an acrylic fill-in, and I want to get my nails cut. And they're like, oh, come on, you know, like right away, like whisk me in and over to James. And then he's like, oh, you didn't pick a color. Like, but right before I had left, I said, I'm getting my nails yellow. And so I said, okay, I'll be right back. Let me go get a color. And I went like, it was if I knew where the yellow was stored on the shelf. I just walked right back to it and went like straight to this and like picked up the yellow like without missing a beat and went right back to him. You know, I didn't go through the colors and stuff. I was led right to this, and so that's what I got. And then I was trying to think like after, I'm like, why was I moved to get this? And I was feeling it had something to do with the energy of Aquarius, although, you know, it's yellow. Maybe I can figure out while I'm doing this, like what yellow has to do with Aquarius. Love is in the air. It's a great time for commitment and taking relationships to the next level. Also, surprise. A disappointment will be followed by a pleasant surprise. An invitation could bring love to those. Sexuality. Existing relationships could find a new passion and heighten sexual attraction. Opportunities for marriage and good family life are strong, but if single, beware of temptation that could lead to trouble. A child will also bring great joy. So this could be like tied to what I was seeing about you've already told the person what you want or don't want, so go ahead and have fun, you know. But then I guess it also comes with a warning. Like even when we tell people, sometimes they still try to force us into a relationship or try to hold themselves back from falling for us. So even if they do, they you know, they put up a wall. So it is still, I guess there is still some risk attached. Anyway, the last decks that I'm using is the Angel and Animal Tarots, and we're beginning with Major Arcana Card 3, the Empress. It's time to hop into action. Use your natural creativity to bring forth prosperity and success in your life. The Empress, of course, represents the planet Venus, ruler of the signs of Taurus, where Uranus is currently located in retrograde. Aquarius is ruler. Also ruler of the sign of Libra, and that's actually where Venus is currently. Mercury joins her next week. And what else? Oh, Venus is also the esoteric ruler of the sign of Gemini, but I felt like I was thinking about something else. So anyway, the Empress card is all about just feeling and being just really attractive, really feminine, really sexy, really powerful. That feminine energy, that sexual energy is tremendously powerful in and of itself. Also, it's a good time to, work on getting pregnant if that's something you're interested in. And some of us may be learning that we are pregnant or giving birth this week. And overall energy here is Major Arcana card 7, the Chariot, an important achievement, self-discipline and willpower, public recognition. It was upside down. There are no reversals in this deck, but I do want to make note of the fact that it was upside down, particularly because this is a general reading. So I was, suggest that you guys be careful in terms of like speeding and making sure you put money in the meter. That's another thing, the reason I had to get my nails cut. I could not do my own meter. You have to call a stranger on the street, like, can you help me get my credit card out? That's not cute. But yeah, stuff like that, like, make sure you have money in the meter, watch your speed and, I don't know, your seat belt, anything that you could get potentially a ticket for wherever you're from. All right, let's get into the cards. The first card will represent us most direct, our energy most directly this week. It is the Eight of Wands in reverse. Surrounding energy, close friends, co-workers, family members. The Ten of Wands, upright. Work and finance, death. Love and relationship, very nice. Queen of Pentacles. She's a nurturer. That's why I said very nice. Physical health. The Emperor in reverse. And spiritual health. This is wonderful for spiritual health. The High Priestess upright and more Gemini energy too. Let's put this Tower here. Look at all these Major Arcana cards. That's something too. I mean, it's only a 6-card spread, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Can we see them all? Yes. Let's jump in. All right, so I'm going to go back to the Tower first. And I do want to share with you, I still feel that there's a message connecting the Tower and the Devil together. Because usually when weird stuff anything that comes out of my mouth, there's like usually a reason for it. Even stuff that I don't understand, like, why did I say that? What was that about? It's usually something. Anyway, just as with the Devil and also with death, which is here too, the Tower is not like as scary typically as the picture, right? It mostly has to do with like trying to hold on too tightly to the norm, the status quo, and like fighting change. It's a card that's like a lot about letting go of things and allowing things to just crumble and stuff, and not like trying to hold on to stuff that the universe or God is trying to take from you. I recently got rid of my car, and I got rid of it because it was really liberating, honestly. I was having another situation with it, and I said, you know what? And the thing that really got me was that my daughters said the same thing to me. So I knew I was making the right decision. We said we every time that something goes on with it, I fix it, I take care of it. I'm not like ashamed about that, or because I took very, very good care of my car, um, and it looked like it, like you could tell, but I just felt like I was always fixing it, like I'm trying to hold on to it, and maybe God is trying to tell me that I'm supposed to have a new one now, and so I sold it. I just got rid of it, and like I said, it was very, very liberating, to my kids too. My son is still like, I miss that car though. Like, I'm so used to it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, we all were. We'll probably all miss it at least every now and then. But, we're going to make new memories in the new car, right? And so for everybody, it's not going to be a car. I was just using that as an example of sometimes we just try to hold on to stuff, as if we're like fighting the universe to keep it when it's trying to take it away from us. And, and we get very frightened, like, what's in the picture. We get very frightened about what it may mean for this thing to be leaving, or this person to be leaving, this relationship to be ending, this, situation to be ending, this job to be ending, oh my God. And, I think the biggest message of the card is to not do that, is to just like go with the flow, and let the universe do with and for you what it will. And for those of you who believe in God, let God do, through you and for you, what he or she will. And also always keeping in mind, that God doesn't burden us with more than we can handle. Or at least that's what's always been said to me. So anyway, more about the tower. It's likely that some people or situations that, like you just always counted on being there, may no longer be, or at least not in the same way anymore. So to further explain what I mean about things coming to an end, and just us accepting the fact that something's changing. This doesn't have to be like a dire situation. Change is part of life. It's natural. It's part of the cycles, and just trying to prevent it is like trying to like swim upstream. It's not something that really makes sense, or is easy to do, especially if you don't have a paddle, right? It's something difficult. With work, there could be like arguments. Same thing with relationships. And it can be an indication that a relationship is nearing the end, or for some of us, maybe just recently ended. But again, it would be one of these situations where, it's probably a relationship that we should allow to end. But if you feel like you're in a relationship that you just don't want to end, it's just, it's important for you to maintain it, then it may also right now be an important time to do some like damage control and try to get the communications clear. And to that end, we've seen some good messages so far from the fortune cookie card saying that communications were going to be good or improved this week. So we have that. All right, so on that note, I will move on to the card that most directly represents us all this week, and that is the Eight of Wands in reverse. This can be a card about delays. I mean, because the Eight of Wands in general is a card of it indicates movement, often after a time when there hadn't been any. It's like, okay, now delays are over and things are getting going. But when it's in reverse, it can be about delays. It can be about your stuff, something you're waiting for in the mail being stuck there. Like, damn it, when is it coming? Like, how did this thing get hung up in the mail so long, or lost, or, maybe somebody left you a voicemail message, but the notification never went off, so you didn't know you had it. And, you're waiting and waiting and waiting as if the message, is never going to come. Not realizing that it's in your phone already. Or, it could be stuff like that. Also, it can be a card that shows up to warn us that we just need to be patient. And because some things in life can be forced, right? Or hurried, and it just wants us to know that there may be some situations where we have to take our time, or allow things to take their course. And we should also be examining how we're using our time and energy. Are we just spending time waiting around, or are we moving forward? It can, the card calls upon us to like question that and figure out what's going on with it. I could do a little self-assessment. Also, it can be about feeling guilty about something. And there's nothing that can be changed about the past. So it carries that message too. Like, the only good thing that guilt can create is, maybe change in your behavior. If you feel badly about having done something, don't do that shit again, and maybe be honest about it. Maybe communicate. Maybe that's what's been a long time coming too, like the truth coming out. Maybe there's a need to do that. If you are feeling burdened, and you need to tell somebody close to you something, or it could be the other way around. Somebody close to you and your surrounding energy, again, coworker, family member, friend, they're feeling burdened. They've got a weight on their shoulders. They need to tell you something, and you've been waiting. You're being patient. You better speak up. It's been a long time coming, and maybe that information is coming now. In the context of love, this card can be about jealousy, and maybe guilt tied to something involving another party or something like that. So you need to watch out for situations involving, jealousy, whether in an existing committed love relationship or a relationship that you're just helpful about and interested in. Like maybe I was talking in the beginning about maybe not really being partnered with somebody, but you're like, well, I was honest with them. So, somebody could tell you, I don't want a whole relationship. But you see this man or woman with another person, maybe you're getting jealous because they are involved with you. Maybe they're even intimate with you, but they laid it out there that they didn't want to be in a full relationship. And so you are having these instances of jealousy. Or it could be the other way around, right? Somebody doing that to you. Anyway, I think you guys get the idea. So moving on, I touched on the 10 of Wands now, but, just a little bit more. It can be about like you're feeling like you're carrying a heavy burden. So since this is in our surrounding energy, maybe it's a close friend, family member, or coworker that's carrying the heavy burden. Or as I said, maybe we have to tell somebody close to us something, or vice versa. And, if whomever is carrying the burden is going to want to look into ways to to lighten their load, and one way you can do that is by communication. But again, this is an indication of communication being held up, delayed, stuff like that. Maybe somebody drops a bomb, and that's what the Tower is about too, because behind the Tower we have the Knight of Cups in reverse. Knight of Cups, a Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. 10 of Wands can also indicate that sometimes it can be about being so like successful that, and maybe not realizing or noticing our own success, so we continue to push. And like it's like you don't know when you've won, and you're probably tired, and you've been working hard, and who knows what's going on inside. Sometimes that the guys that work on Wall Street by me or whatever, they always had like the highest stress. Like my own father included. Everybody had high blood pressure, or that people. It's very common to have a heart attack and stuff like that, because you're just pushing, and you don't know like when to sit down and like pat yourself in the back and congratulate yourself and put your feet up and relax because you've done your work, So it could be about something like that too. Or you're at work, your workload could just be like unrealistically or unimaginably heavy right now, just really, really overwhelming. And so you might be pushing yourself too hard because of that. So that's a nice segue to go right into this work spot, especially again, since we have the Tower and we have the Knight of Cups behind the Tower, and we have Major Arcana card Death, which most directly represents the sign of Scorpio in this work and finance area. So when death shows up in work and finance or tied to our job, it can mean like if you hate your job or you feel, underappreciated, underemployed, underpaid, any of those things, but you've not wanted to leave because at least you have some sort of steady income. Something could happen where you are forced out, and maybe it is something literally going on with the building. The power is out, right? There's a fire at the building. They have to close because of COVID. They, whatever reason, any number of things that could come up or happen. It could be something like that. So you don't want to leave, but now you don't have a choice. You're forced out. It's not like set in stone, like we're all getting fired this week. Anybody that's employed by another person, because death is in the work and finance area. But when this card shows up in this placement, it is, a very real possibility that people could be losing their jobs for whatever reason. So there's that. Now, as I mentioned before, when I was talking about the Tower, they're not as scary as, these cards are not as scary as they appear, and they tend not to be literal. And for me, death definitely tends not to be literal. There's a few cards that when I see them, it means death in the physical sense, and death is not one of them. However, I do feel that somebody at someone's work maybe does pass away or did recently pass away. That may be contributing to the increased workload. Or maybe they fall ill, so they don't pass away, or they have fallen ill. Don't pass away, but they're basically down and out, right, for the count right now. And that could be causing increased work as well, for you maybe. In terms of finances, maybe separate and apart from work, with death, we probably should be sort of careful this week with our money. We may even need to, sacrifice some stuff in order to keep things balanced. And, nobody really wants to do that, but it might be necessary to avoid, any issues that are around us. It's like, well, if I bring in bag lunch this week, then next week I'll have a better flow, I don't think it's a dire situation, but I think like we just want to watch our money a little bit this week. And on that note, we'll move into love and relationships. Again, I was excited to see the Queen of Pentacles. She's kind of like an empress, or a baby empress. So it's a similar energy to me. Not as strong as Empress, and maybe because it gives Venus too. Most directly, the Queen of Pentacles represents the sign of Taurus, which again Venus rules. So that may be why I feel that way. Anyway, it's also very much about femininity, especially or including in the area of love and relationship. And it basically tells us, like, in terms of going about relationships and relations with other people, in terms of love, to use like your feminine wiles, your feminine nature, your feminine energy, like a feminine strategy, and basically behave like a woman, like be that, or the stereotypical woman, traditional woman, female attributes and things, the behaviors that we think about, so that nurturing, right, that more sensitive and open to talk, and comforting and compassionate, and like making a space feel comfortable, like at home, making people feel comfortable, and putting them at ease, not chasing, right, that men pursue. Women allow themselves to be caught if they're interested, right? It's all those sort of, again, I don't know what word to use, I guess stereotypical feminine behaviors and attributes that she represents. So that's how we're going to go about making our romantic lives work this week, if we're interested in doing that. I'm going to go to physical health with the Emperor in reverse. And you know what? These may be tied together. The Emperor can also represent the sign of Scorpio. It represents the planet Mars most directly. Mars is a ruler of Aries and Scorpio. And this guy's upside down. So he's kind of like down for the count. And this card in this position is about needing to get some sort of outside advice and to be like logical about health matters. And even methodical, like making a plan maybe in terms of managing our health, body, health, discipline, staying focused and on top of an issue that we may be struggling with. It's basically like go to the doctor. Really, to be honest, it's kind of like go to the doctor, getting outside support and advice. And last but not least, spiritual health. As I mentioned, I was very excited also about the High Priestess. I mean, who's more spiritual than the High Priestess? She, again, most directly represents the sign of Gemini, but is also representative of water signs in the tarot. And is super, super, super feminine as well, sort of like the Empress and the Queen of Pentacles, and sexy and just very, very attractive to other people for many, many reasons. Not just physically, but just like to her energy, to her aura, to her wisdom, to her psychic ability, awareness. People just marvel at her. And when she shows up in this placement of spirituality, it can mean that like messages can come to us from all sorts of places. And we really need to make a point to look at spirituality in ways that we may not have done so before. That doesn't mean that we need to start like going to different like classes or services or anything like that, but just like realizing the spiritual. Okay, for example, I told you guys that I was clairaudient, right? Well, I'm clear on a whole bunch of things, but for one thing, clairaudient, I've shared it before. The first time that I realized that I was, or that I knew that I was, I had left school, and it was dark, but if I remember correctly, it wasn't very late. So maybe it was because it was fall or winter or whatever. I'd walked out of school. I was walking to the train station. So maybe it was around 6:30. Although I used to get out of school later than that. I don't know what time it was. I remember it being dark, and I remember myself walking. Let's leave it at that. And as I exited the school, just felt like all time and everything stopped. Like I was in a movie kind of. And when you when you've been congested and you blow your nose and your ears get clogged and they pop, or when you've been on an airplane and they get clogged, and then when you get off, you get back to I guess the normal altitude, they pop open. I'm walking, I haven't been sick, I haven't been on an airplane. My ear popped like louder. Of course I can hear it like inside my head, louder and harder and more open and more wide than ever before. And it was like I was standing outside on a New York street, and if a pin had dropped, I would have heard it in that moment. It was a very like surreal experience. And then right after that was when I had the vision of the wedding dress and myself getting married, and the wedding dress with the crop top, wedding top, and the long skirt. And then, like I said, I called a friend who, this is somebody I had met on the internet. She lived in California, but she was also involved in like the twin flame, stuff. And I called her and I told her about this experience and stuff and about this dress. And maybe like 2-3 days later, Serena Williams rather, was on the cover of some magazine, on a red carpet in a white dress, formal dress that was a crop top with a long skirt. And I'm like, that's my wedding dress. But, you know, I knew the way that they had the experience and the way that I had the moment, it's like nobody had to tell me, or I didn't have to think, like, was that a message? Were those things messages? Was that, you know, it's like I knew what was happening in that moment. I knew that the universe was telling me about my clairaudience. I knew that I was having some very like real vision that was going to mean something for me. So I say all of that to say, that's the energy of the high priestess as it relates to spirituality. We can expect this week to get messages from any and everywhere in all kinds of different forms, and just really should just be ready and be open to considering that something is happening for a reason, not just at random, and certainly not a coincidence, and not for no reason. Even like insects that we find absolutely disgusting and gross, you know, flies and stuff have spiritual meanings. And so maybe if you see a whole bunch, for example, wow, how do all these flies get in my house? You know, like, what's this about? Maybe you want to Google even like the spiritual meaning of flies, or go to the library and look it up. It's going to be that kind of week. So we'll further clarify these now with the other card, just to see if anything else jumps out at us, beginning with this Eight of Wands. And it is being joined by the Two of Cups. We saw the Two of Cups earlier too in the Rider-Waite deck. Upside down, remember? It was in reverse. A relationship that continues to grow closer. Forgiveness and the positive resolution of a conflict. So again, maybe something's been a long time coming between two people, and there is finally some sort of communication, or there will be communication soon, or there's a desire for communication, but for whatever reason it is delayed. Or again, somebody close to you, or in close proximity to you somehow, may have something to get off their chests with you too. And it's making them feel, again, burdened. It's weighing them down. Joining this Ten of Pentacles for, in the placement of surrounding energy is the joining this Ten of Wands is the Ten of Pentacles. A very happy family life, financial security, and finding magic in the little things in life. So like I said, this Ten of Wands can be about kind of like working yourself to death, you know, again, not in the literal sense, but just too much. And this shows up to say like, okay, you're stable. Okay, you know, you're making good money. You're okay. This can also be like a card of inheritance and stuff too. And so maybe it's tied to surrounding energies in that sense, something that somebody else worked very hard for coming to you. Maybe involving a home. A tower can be about an actual like tower, building, home, structure. And the Ten of Pentacles can also be about property sometimes. Work and finance, joining death. We have another tower. Well, the good news is people who are worried about the tower, like, oh no, like, I hope it's not in my regular life. I hope it's not in my love life. It has something to do with work. Again, it could be about arguments. It could be that simple, like arguments and stuff at work. And if so, you know, just try to stay out of those things. But something really could be happening at work where work could close, or we as individuals could, you know, be furloughed or laid off or lose our jobs altogether for some sort of reason beyond our control. It's a karmic thing. Okay, with the tower showing up, we got two towers. That's like, I mean, it's already super auspicious that we have all these major arcana cards anyway. You know, but the tower joining death with work and finance this week. On a more positive note, again, it can be about something about property for somebody too, in terms of the finance part. Maybe finances involving like real property. Ten of Pentacles, another tower. Love and relationship. The Page of Pentacles joining the Queen here. Page is scholarly, dependable, patient, and successful. Good news about financial matters. Wanting to do something more challenging and maybe a new area of study. Those all sound well and good, but really the Page of Pentacles, as it relates directly to love and relationship, tends to be about having a wandering eye. Like you're sort of feeling bored in your relationship or bored in your love life. So even if you're single, like I'm bored being single, I'm tired of this. I want to start dating, or I want a real partner, whatever. Or if I am partnered, I am coupled, I'm bored in my relationship, I'm bored with this person. My ex was a lot more exciting. He was hot, she was hot, that kind of stuff. And like looking around, a wandering eye. But that doesn't mean you necessarily want to leave your partner. And Virgos are, especially like Virgo men. This is a female here, this in the picture, this Page. But Virgo men are often very, very committed, even if they're not happy, which I don't necessarily get, but that's been my experience with Virgo men. I've dated a few. A 919, a 911, a few. Anyway, moving on. To our physical health, joining the Emperor in reverse. Well, there's no reversals in this deck, but I do want to point out that I pulled this one in reverse too. It's Major Arcana card 17, the Star. You are about to take a big leap forward in your life. Worry will be replaced with optimism, fear with hope, and joy is coming home to roost. What's more positive? Well, first of all, the Star represents the sign of Aquarius. We also have an Aquarius full moon this week, tomorrow, the 22nd, the first day for which this reading is. So I'll go ahead and throw that out there now. As I mentioned, the Taurus, Uranus is currently located in Taurus and retrograde there. And this is a card of healing. Or an energy of healing, right? The water bearer, she comes, like washes the difficult stuff away. In a general sense, this is about our prayers being answered, wishes being granted, dreams coming true, goals being reached. This is about accomplishment, manifestation. But in terms of us maybe being unwell or needing to take care of ourselves or of a health issue, this is a sign of that happening. And last but not least, spiritual health. This is interesting. It's another Eight of Wands. So we had the Eight of Wands in reverse that we started with, and it was joined by a 2. And now we have Major Arcana card 2 being joined by another Eight of Wands. Events moving at a fast pace. Delays are over, and many things are happening at once. And even in this placement, the spiritual meaning of the Eight of Wands can be about patience. There can be a difficult spiritual lesson that someone's going through. And even with that, we'll have to have patience with ourselves, patience with other people that are perhaps involved. Also, this card shows up as a clear signal that sort of like stillness is something we need to work on. Like being able to just be still and maybe to meditate or just to allow and to think. All those things, or to, again, wait patiently, is something that we have difficulty with and we need to work on when it's showing up in this placement here like this. Meditation is helpful now if you're able to do it. Or maybe, there's somebody that you can get with and work with. And if you can't sit still and can't meditate, you just feel like at all, that's fine. Try to start with 20 seconds, 30 seconds of stillness and increasing, that's what I got to do for like some physical exercise and stuff like the plank and stuff. Like I know my friends, my kid's father, he could probably do it for hours. But I got to start with, 30 seconds, a minute before I build up. And every time I stop exercising and get back to it, I got to start all over like that again. It's like one of the most difficult things for me to do in terms of physical exercise. Similarly, for many people, meditation and being still is difficult. So again, take your time. Be patient with you. And I hope you have enjoyed the weekly general reading this week. If you have, or maybe even if you haven't, please do like, share, subscribe, and comment before leaving. If you're interested in sticking around, I'm going to go over what else, other than what I've seen in the cards, is happening this week. If you don't want to, I appreciate you having been here so far and for watching the reading. And I'll see you again soon in the love reading and or the moon reading. Again, please do like, share, subscribe, and comment. And for the rest of you who want to hear what I'm going to say about what else is going on this week, I'm going to open my computer now and turn it on. And sign in. That's what I'm doing now. Wait a minute. What the hell happened? Hang on. Let me sign in again. There we go. Starting with the Christian calendar. As I mentioned, it is my son's birthday, and it is a celebration of the fact that Mary has a son too. And, she's recognized for that reason. Tomorrow, the 22nd, is the feast day of the queenship of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And that celebration of that feast day is all about the fact that she has a son and she's being recognized specifically as a mother of a son. Also, on the 24th, which is normally another day where we'd be celebrating Mary, right? The 24th equals 6. Usually her feast days fall on days like that. But it is the feast day of Saint Bartholomew the Apostle. So I'll read a little bit about him as well. And for both of these this week, I think I've gone to Franciscan Media, www.franciscanmedia.org, beginning first with the Queenship of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Pope Pius XII established this feast in 1954, which equals, of course, 19. But Mary's queenship has roots in Scripture. At the Annunciation, Gabriel announced that Mary's son would receive the throne of David and rule forever. At the Visitation, Elizabeth calls Mary, quote, Mother of my Lord, end quote. As in all the mysteries of Mary's life, she is closely associated with Jesus. Her queenship is a share in Jesus' kingship. We can also recall that in the Old Testament, the mother of the king has great influence in court. In the 4th century, Saint Ephraim, and my son's best friend, his name is Ephraim. Isn't that hilarious? He called Mary Lady and Queen. Later, church fathers and doctors continued to use the title, or one of his best friends. He joined the Marines, so he's away. But yeah, that was like one of my son's best friends. They met in like middle school. Anyway, hymns of the 11th to the 13th centuries. Whoa. Sorry, my TV just started talking. Hymns of the 11th to 13th centuries address Mary as Queen. Quote, Hail, Holy Queen, end quote. Hail, Queen of Heaven. Queen of Heaven. The Dominican Rosary and the Franciscan Crown, as well as numerous invocations in Mary's litany, celebrate her queenship. This feast is a logical follow-up to the Assumption, right? The Assumption of Mary was last week, and is now celebrated on the octave day of that feast. In his 1954 encyclical to the Queen of Heaven, Pius XII points out that Mary deserves the title because she is the Mother of God, because she is closely associated as the new Eve with Jesus's redemptive work, because of her preeminent perfection and because of her intercessory power. I actually posted on my what's that tab called? Community tab on YouTube, something about Eve, or the Eve gene, mitochondrial DNA found in Black women today. So if you haven't seen it, it's just biology. It's just science. Anyway, As St. Paul suggests in Romans 8:28 through 30, God has predestined human beings from all eternity to share the image of his Son. All the more was Mary predestined to be the mother of Jesus, as Jesus was to be king of all creation. Mary, independent on Jesus, was to be queen. All other titles to queenship derive from this eternal intention of God. As Jesus exercised his kingship on earth by serving his Father and his fellow human beings, so did Mary exercise her queenship. As the glorified Jesus remains with us, our King, till the end of time, at least according to Matthew 28:20, so does Mary, who was assumed into heaven and crowned Queen of heaven and earth. And then again, 2 days later, Saint Bartholomew. In the New Testament, Bartholomew is mentioned only in the lists of the apostles. Some scholars identify him with Nathanael, a man of Cana in Galilee, who was summoned to Jesus by Philip. Jesus paid him a great compliment. Quote, "He is a true Israelite. There is no duplicity in him," end quote. This can be found in John 1:47. When Nathanael asked how Jesus knew him, Jesus said, quote, "I saw you under the fig tree," end quote. John 1:48. Whatever amazing revolution this involved, it brought Nathanael to exclaim, quote, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel," end quote. John 1:49. But Jesus countered with, quote, "Do you believe because I told you that I saw you under a fig tree, you will see greater things than this?" End quote. John 1:50. Nathanael did see greater things. He was one of those to whom Jesus appeared on the shore of the Sea of Tiberias after his resurrection. See John 21:1 through 14. They'd been fishing all night without success. In the morning, they saw someone standing on the shore, though no one knew it was Jesus. He told them to cast their net again, and they made so great a catch that they could not haul the net in. Then John cried out to Peter, "It is the Lord." When they brought the boat to shore, they found a fire burning with some fish laid out on it and some bread. Jesus asked them to bring some of the fish that they caught and invited them to come and eat their meal. John relates that although they knew it was Jesus, none of the apostles presumed to inquire who he was. This, John notes, was the third time that Jesus had appeared to the apostles. Bartholomew or Nathanael, we are confronted again with the fact that we know almost nothing about most of the apostles. That's because of the books that were pulled out. I was actually talking to somebody about the book of Thomas that was ripped from the Bible and hidden years ago. Very, very interesting. But other apostles and Mary, both Marys, they have books and stuff, but they get yanked. So this is why we know nothing, because the church didn't want us to know anything. It wanted us to be ignorant. But what's done in the dark comes to light. So you can look up this stuff and you can find information. You can research. Anywho, Bartholomew and Nathanael, we are confronted again with the fact that we almost know nothing. We know almost nothing about the apostles. Yet the unknown ones were also foundation stones, the 12 pillars of the new Israel, whose 12 tribes now encompass the whole earth. That's the 144,000. 12 times 12, 144. Their personalities were secondary, without thereby being demeaned to the great office of bearing tradition. From their first-hand experience, speaking in the name of Jesus, putting the world made flesh into human words, and for the enlightenment of the world. Their holiness was not an introverted contemplation of their status before God. It was a gift that they had to share with others. The good news was that all are called to the holiness of being Christ's members by the gracious gift of God. The simple fact is that humanity is totally meaningless unless God is its total concern. Then humanity made holy with God's own holiness becomes the most precious creation of God. Saint Bartholomew is the patron saint of plasterers. And moving on to the planetary calendar for the week, we start with the first day, August 22nd, at 8:02 a.m., the full moon in Aquarius. Yes, I know it feels like deja vu. This is a very rare second full moon in Aquarius, back to back. 29 degrees Aquarius. My son will be 29. Isn't that cool? On the 22nd. So, yes, tomorrow morning on his birthday, Aquarius will be 29 degrees. On the moon will be 29 degrees Aquarius. Then later on, also on the 22nd at 5:35 p.m., the sun enters Virgo, 0 degrees Virgo. And that's it for the week. So we won't talk about this because I'll do a separate moon reading as I always do. So on that note, I'll see you guys in the next reading. Please do like, share, subscribe, and comment. I hope you have enjoyed. Namaste.